Aren't you about tired of listening to sports shows with all the woke bullshit? So are we. This is Patriot Sports Radio.
Patriot Sports Radio.
Fed up with the national talking heads and biases of mainstream sports media. If it's sports, from the high school level to the pros, we're talking about it. Like the red-blooded Americans we are.
God bless America.
God bless America.
God bless America.
Let's do this. And now, here's Eric, Angela, John, Chris, and the coach.
Welcome back, my friends. If you're new, then welcome in Patriot Sports Radio. My name's Eric. I'm your host. Glad to have you with us. Thank you for those reviews like this one from Brittany Golden that I'm not sure is real. It's titled Too Good. It says, I like sports. Would love to receive information on this topic. That's why I love Patriot Sports Radio, because this podcast is about sports. I love this content creator for creating amazing content. Keep it up. Real or not, I will take it. One thing I won't do is dig too far into that one. Anyway, Chris is here. Got the engines firing. We got Coach. John Sans headband. I don't know if that means he's going to get wild. Does that mean he means business? Is that just casual Friday?
Means I just came from tapas at the local Spanish place.
Oh.
What
Always
exactly is that?
It's just gussied up American food with a Spanish name and a little bit better.
So Tex-Mex. Tex-Mex
Yeah.
and wine?
Patatas bravas is basically just your disco fries. And your croquettes are basically mozzarella sticks gussied up. Stuff like that.
Right. So they church it up a little bit, give us some Spanish rice. Bam. You got a tapatillas.
Maybe an extra flavor or two here and there.
I'm with you.
That's about it. Yeah.
Cilantro.
That's right.
Little cilantro. Bam. They call it an emerald bam.
That's right.
All right.
Emerald had a hell of a run there from about 97 to 03.
He was it.
He was selling knives like you wouldn't believe. I had one. Loved it.
Yeah. The Essence. He was selling the Essence, hawking the Essence on late night TV.
You know who really kneecapped him was Guy Fieri. And may I actually just say Guy Fieri is how you're supposed to say it if you want to be a douchebag.
Yeah.
That guy came in and undercut him and said, I'm the guy who goes to the diners. I'm not trying to be special or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he appealed more to the working class.
Yeah, when you got a flaming T-shirt and frosted tips, that'll take you pretty far.
The triple D.
There's not many things more everyman than flaming shirt.
Hey, you got a flaming shirt, you scream common man.
That's right.
Yep. Well, Texas Rangers won the World Series 4-1 over the Arizona Diamondbacks, who seemed just happy to be there. That's probably news to you because only like 5 million people watched it till Game 5. Corey Seager wins his second World Series MVP with his second team. He's the fourth player in MLB history to win 2. The other 3 may ring a bell. Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, Reggie Jackson. Never heard of him. Reggie's the only other person to do it with 2 teams. A's in 73 and the Yankees in 77.
No, can I interrupt? And if I recall correctly, his first one was with the 2020 Dodgers, right?
Yep.
I don't count that. Still not counting it. They got to go all the way back to 88. Doesn't count. 60-game season. That ain't real baseball.
All right.
Bonus here.
But
with an asterisk.
But Will Smith has won 3 in a row, which I will give him credit for that.
3 with 3 different teams.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Didn't he play for the Brewers, Chris? Will Smith at some point?
He did.
Yep.
You guys traded him. But to be fair, I read this quick article about him, and he had an ERA that ballooned mid-season, so they traded him to Houston. I believe that was Atlanta. Maybe the other way around. Because he won in Atlanta, then he won in Houston, and then he won this year. and he rightfully got traded. But he just kind of seems to be the guy that in the right spot he can succeed. So good for him. 3 rings. That's pretty good.
The Diamondbacks are the first one to beat the Brewers and then not. Oh no, it's advanced to the World Series. This is a wild stat. Every team to beat the Milwaukee Brewers in the postseason has advanced to the World Series. The 81 Yankees, 82 Cardinals, 08 Phillies, 11 Cardinals, 2018 Dodgers. I remember that one. And the Nationals, Dodgers, Braves, and Diamondbacks. So basically, anybody, even if it's a wild card game, they beat the Brewers. We're like good luck Chuck. You just punch your ticket at that point.
That's an underrated movie.
Good movie.
Yeah.
To answer heavy steps and where the headband is tonight was a formal night where I took the old lady out to a date, and so I had to rush back. And actually, these guys were delayed so that I could finish up my date for Spanish tapas. So that's why I do not have a headband on.
If I'm betting,
Your digestive tract is thinking you as we.
situations after the Spanish tapas.
You know how the ladies can be. They want to check out. Oh my gosh, that's true. I just noticed that. Never.
Never.
It's my greatest asset.
I'm not Paul. Listen,
hey.
whoa. Whoever that is, listen, I got hair. Okay?
Hey, John is about to get married. He'll be bald soon enough.
Get yourself a daughter that stuff falls out on its own.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
While we're on baseball, did you know the San Diego Padres took out a $50 million loan in September to address short-term cash flow issues and meet their obligations, including player payroll, according to the Athletics' Evan Drellich. Apparently, MLB teams commonly tap into lines of credit to pay their bills, prompting some officials in the sport to suggest any concerns should be tempered because they were ultimately creditworthy enough to draw the loan. But other officials briefed on the team's finances who were not authorized to speak publicly viewed the Padres situation as worrisome. I don't think this was supposed to get out.
But
you're
also
spending too much if you're going to take out a loan for player salary.
Let's do more of it. I want to see these guys really leveraging their business on this. What do I care? I mean,
make the city build the stadium and then take a second mortgage out on it. That kind.
I'm not paying for it as a fan. I mean, come on.
That's great when you're a fan in Denver. Not so great when you're a fan in San Diego, which, by the way, has another meaning.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I'm just saying, who gives a shit if these guys are leveraging $1 billion business to get a $50 million loan? As a guy who does work with this happens all the time. They should be leveraging more because let's bring in more talent. Let's start paying these guys whatever.
Risk it all.
Risk it all. I don't care. I'm not taking the municipal loan or the bond that goes into paying for the stadium. Come on.
What are they going to do? Take back the good lands?
Yeah, that's right. And in San Diego, I mean, you can't tell me money is flowing in San Diego. They're not too worried about it. They'll be fine.
Flowing where? Fentanyl?
It's actually the richest place or the hardest place to live because rent is so high. Number one.
Wow.
That doesn't make it. Does that make it good?
I mean, that means people are paying that.
Oh yeah, that means they have money.
There's a lot of money in San Diego.
Eric Armstead, defensive tackle for the 49ers, speaking of money, shared a copy of his paycheck, which shows he gives almost half his money to the state of California.
Wow. 50%.
Hey, listen.
43,000 on 100,000.
Hey, you guys brought this up, and this is a great topic. This at some point this is going to become a deal. And here's what I'm saying. When you have free agents that want to sign with the team, and you have forget the franchises and the history of the team, but you're paying a guy who probably is representing your best interests as far as some kind of sports agent, and he sits across the table in a conference room somewhere, and he slides across a deal that says, okay, we have a deal here from Dallas, or we have a deal here from Pittsburgh, and then we have a deal here from the Los Angeles Rams. On this deal right here, you're going to make 75 cents on the dollar, and on this deal here, you're going to make 35 cents on the dollar. I mean, and they're the same deals. That becomes a thing. I mean, it's going to factor into free agency.
Henry Hill said his mom brought it up. He said, my mom told me about the state tax, and that was part of the reason he went to Miami.
It's been a thing for probably 10 years now. Because if you don't remember, back in the 90s, California also did this dick move where if they count the games that you play there as technically earned income in California. So Michael Jordan, I think he was the first one to really bring this up, is every time he played a game against the Clippers or the Lakers or the Golden State Warriors, he had to pay tax in California for that, even though he was employed in Illinois. California is just give me your money and don't ask questions. And you definitely see free agents, look, they're flooding to Miami, they're flooding to Texas, Houston, all these places because it's honestly a joke. And it's getting to the place where you're paying Europe style taxes to live in a dumpster fire of a state that's going to float off into the ocean.
Yeah, I think this is going to become a bigger deal than we already know. I mean, it's a lot of people, the regular common man looks at it and goes, well, these rich guys are bitching about being rich, but it's not. No. It's a very much a dollars and cents decision, especially, and it starts affecting free agency for that reason.
And to put it into terms, I know that when it comes to actors, and it's very similar to athletes, you don't get a huge cut of your deal because you also have an agent who's going to take 10 to 20%. You have a business manager who's going to take 10 to 20%. You're going to have all these people taking a cut of your take-home pay. So, I mean, you're probably realistically looking at outside of California, 50 to 60%. And in California, I mean, it just shrinks because California takes its cut. It's not like, who we talking about, Herbert getting whatever he got over the offseason and being the highest paid annual average salary. He's not taking that home. Are you kidding me? So I do get why these guys push it so hard, because at the end of the day, they're fighting for a guy like him's fighting for 45 cents on a dollar. Right.
And I wonder, to take it a step further, what do you think that starts affecting NIL deals? When do the trickle down go to college where you got NIL deals and now you're getting recruited to a certain place like USC, but your NIL deal gets cut in a quarter because of, I'm just saying it's interesting to me that this isn't a bigger deal, especially when it's so drastically different from state to state.
Good point. Yeah. Real good point.
It's a mess. Smitty was asking if we saw the Max Crosby video. I searched Max Crosby on Twitter. He's got some video where he says,
was he talking about
force?
Talking about his coach getting fired?
I didn't see it. I love Max Crosby. I think he is a phenomenal dude. So hopefully he didn't do anything too ridiculous. What's the deal?
He's not, I don't know. I haven't found anything of note. Heavy has a lock of the week.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Mortgage, pink slip, the wife, the kids, bet it all.
Well, I did that last week, Heavy, and I'm still licking my wounds on a MAC matchup on a Tuesday or something.
Eduardo Mora, inside the distance. Trying to find this. Mora wins inside the distance, minus 165.
Who is it?
By decision or technical decision.
I'm going to need some education on that.
I don't even know if this is men or women.
I think we need a call line so this guy can call in and have a weekly spot.
Hey, we do need to get a hotline. Can we get a
text line? But it kept getting dick pics, right?
Yeah. Is that what happened?
No.
We started
It was
getting
just me.
Nudes from old dudes.
Yep.
Was that a cat brain?
Lori's
No,
here.
that's something else.
Cat brain. Oh,
Good evening, Lori. Have you says click the link in the chat.
I did that once, and
Can't
it
wait to
went
get-
drastically terrible for me, Heavy.
Oh, this is a bummer. Bob Knight died yesterday. Throwing chairs at God now. Wednesday night. Oh, Wednesday night.
He's throwing chairs at God
Knight
now.
went to the big arena in the sky. 83 years old, having lived a fuller life than probably any of us could hope. I think there's going to be a lot of those stories that come out about how he was a charitable guy and all these people that he did nice things for, but didn't tell anybody about.
Well, hopefully there is, because there's a lot of stories out there about how he was not. So
Yeah, so I actually I've given this a good amount of thought, and I watched his documentary years ago, and he's somebody that I think is super interesting to look at because from a generational standpoint, you're gonna have a very different take on it. Being a millennial, I look at him and I say, "What a dick." It seems like the negatives outweigh the positives. But I didn't play for him. I didn't get punched in the face by him. I also wasn't encouraged and pushed by him. And you hear older guys, maybe Gen X or whatever, be like, no, that's the way it was back in when he was coaching in the 80s. And yeah, there were some people that probably shouldn't have played for him that ended up playing for him. I will say this though, I think we've overcorrected beyond a Bob Knight era to something where we just need to be tougher. And I think we need more of the Bob Knight mentality into the day to day, where there is high levels of accountability. Maybe not the physical altercations with kids that you have extreme power over. There's got to be a happy medium somewhere in there that you can draw from the well of his knowledge and I do really appreciate guys like that because obviously he had extreme passion for the job and put everything he had into it. And I think he's a good example at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think overall.
Chris Smith saying, "Oh my gosh," he's saying, "Don't count me in your group of softies." I won't. I won't. I do. Why? Do you guys remember when ESPN did the? He was the dad from Tommy Boy, and he played Bobby Knight in
yeah,
that
Brian Denny.
movie. That was a great documentary. Now,
Yeah.
would I have loved to play for him? No, because I wasn't a star. So if you weren't a star, I'm sure he was a nightmare because he was just riding your ass and all that.
Yeah,
But I can imagine he improved a lot of people's lives.
yeah. Role players had a rough time, probably.
But Gen Z and below, I mean, he would have been fired 10 minutes into his first practice.
No, but it's
And
different.
I don't think that's right.
You're 100% Knight. You hit the nail on the head when you started that by saying it was a different time. It was a different era. There was a different style of coaching. There was a lot of things that happened during that time frame that are unacceptable now by a lot of means. I mean, it was a different era. I think the guy was good. I think he was overall good, kind of a tough guy, a little bit misunderstood, and people have mixed opinions on him. But his players, for the most part, they all loved him, and he's kind of a tough guy to get to know. I think as long as he went, the longer that he went on, the more misunderstood he kind of got because the game changed and the way that we do things changed. But yeah,
Yep.
you definitely Heavy hit the nail on the head. You had to be mentally tough, and if you weren't, you wouldn't be there very long. But he was misunderstood. So
Definitely put Indiana University on the map. He was a
absolutely.
mentor to Coach K and Bill Parcells. I
Yeah.
don't know what he mentored, just general coaching, leading. I don't know. But
Yeah, him and Coach K were
couple,
tight, but I also heard on the radio that they had a big falling out recently. And I mean, what do two old men have a big falling out over? I don't know. I mean, whatever. But I'm not a
golf.
huge Coach K fan, but that's sad to hear. He's definitely a guy that inspired probably half the coaches today.
Yeah. Speaking of coaches, Deion Sanders thinks the NCAA and the Rose Bowl should launch an investigation about the belongings of several staff members and players being stolen during the team's 28-16 loss at UCLA. Apparently, all their chains and their ice has been heisted. It was an ice heist, and I don't know if they have insurance on that stuff. Multiple players and staffers reported they were missing cash and jewelry from their locker room. Lisa Durderian, public informant office for Pasadena, California, told police they launched an investigation into the alleged burglary. Alleged? What are you saying? That they stole it from themselves? I don't know. Are they going to catch these people? Maybe. They caught the guy who stole Tom Brady's Super Bowl jersey.
Yeah, years later.
We should do like top 10
They
sports
caught the
heists.
guy that shot Tupac. I mean, geez, there's no limitations.
Yeah,
I
the
don't-
greater
you know,
LA area.
I think
has
that's
the plate
crap.
full.
I'm
It
gonna
is.
go ahead and plant the flag in the ground and say that's crap. And I like Deion and I like what he's doing, but I'm gonna tell you I think it's crap, and here's why. Because the players that have NIL deals right now, that deal is so ridiculous. It's the Wild West, and it's a little bit ridiculous to me that you could sign up to play for a university and they hand you keys to a brand new pickup or something, and you're drawing a
Lamborghini.
salary. I mean,
Shador.
okay. And let's look at like Utah, for example. Utah, not even, I mean, they're a good football school, but you have their entire team getting brand new Dodge Ram pickups. I mean, it's things like these right now that are going on that make me, I used to say, these are athletes that aren't getting paid, and the schedule of an athlete in college is so demanding and ridiculous. And yes, they're getting an education, but it's not really equal. And now I think we've swung the pendulum completely to the other way, and now it's just Katie bar the door. Whoever's got the deepest pockets, that's what you get. So I don't have any or a very little sympathy for Coach Prime wanting to launch an investigation into somebody getting their gold chain stolen 2 years ago at the Rose Bowl. I just don't go have an NIL booster, buy you a new one.
There might not be a less sympathetic character right now than a college kid on an NIL deal. Division One. Mike Woodson, a Bobby Knight disciple. Yeah, Chris Beard too.
Well, and I think I've often
Bob
thought
Knight out there.
I've often thought that the best recruiting message that you could really have if you were a college coach right now would be you simply plant a flag in the ground and go, here's this guy, Ian Griswold out of East Toluga, West Virginia, that we recruited to be our third string punter. And this is what he makes. This is his deal.
Yep.
So if you come here, you're not going to be no worse than this guy. Don't show me your best. Show me the worst guy on the roster and what's he taking home. Because that's what I would, if I was a dude that was going, I would go, well, if I suck and they've got no use for me, this is what I can expect. I mean, and maybe that's the way it is now. Yeah. I mean, maybe if I'm still pimping my new Dodge Ram home with pocketfuls of hundreds, maybe that's a deal. I don't know. It's changed so much since the 1900s and 90s when I was in there. Like it was 1997 when I was on a scholarship in college. It's changed so much. I don't know what they're,
for a guy who I feel like gets it in most aspects, this felt really uncharacteristic for Coach Prime, because I feel like what I would have expected Coach Prime to say was, yeah, you dumbasses, that's what you get. Like, do you think you're not going to get robbed? Look where USC and UCLA aren't in the best places of LA. So if everybody knows you have a ton of money and you roll into town, they call that an easy target. Go to any big city. I mean, just think about it. So the fact that he's crying foul because his filthy rich players got robbed is so uncharacteristic for what I know to be Coach Prime. If I were Coach Prime, I would have expected him to be like laughing. Yeah, that's a life lesson, boys. Guess what? You're an easy target when you have a
A
huge
learning
chain around your neck.
experience. Yeah.
Well, and now I want to say I'll reserve the right to change my opinion if there's got to be a reason that we don't understand this. I mean, if it doesn't seem right that he would come out and bang the drum for this. That just doesn't seem right to me. It seems a little bit arrogant and just it just kind of puts me off of the whole deal. I have a little bit of a problem right now with the things that he says. I was all on board, and I like Coach Prime and what he's doing, but recently, what's been exposed is the fact that he has an abundance of skill players, and he has a deficit strongly of the guys in the trenches, which has been exposed in a major way when he's played people that have a strong front line. And so
Oregon absolutely
Oregon pretty much exposed them, and even to some extent UCLA did the other night too, because coming down the stretch their guys just don't hold up. And he's made some comments about, well, I'm going to go get some new linemen or whatever. I mean, if you're a kid that's there right now, what do you? I mean, it's you're pretty much getting told, hey, we're going to ride you like Seabiscuit to the end of the season and get our Poland Weed Eater Bowl out of you, and then you're out of here. You're hitting the midnight train.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think I didn't really understand that approach and how you're going to motivate the young men to block up front for the rest of the season when you pretty much said, I'm done with you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're asking them to go in there and for sure get injured. And for what?
Well, and I go back to maybe they're making enough money where it doesn't matter. And now we've turned into, just like the NFL where I can say what I want because you guys are getting paid. And I can respect that too, if that's what it is.
Speaking of arrogant coaches, Dabo, I guess, has a radio show or a regular radio spot, and he had a caller. First, the guy right away brings up Proverbs 16:18. He says, "I know you're a man of faith." And
it wouldn't be the South if there wasn't some lipstick on a pig religious angle here.
Hey, I love it. I love it. There's nothing better than an SEC call-in show. Let me just tell you.
It's true.
There's not a damn thing in the world better than an SEC live call-in show. It's
hang
great.
on, hang on. I never heard what he said. What did he say, Eric?
Well, this kid laid out how, we have season tickets. My family goes to Clemson games. We're Clemson through and through. And I know you're a man of faith. And Proverbs 16:18 says pride comes before the fall. And, maybe we think maybe you hired too many of your friends. A lot of your coaches and guys, they have no prior experience. And you're making what, 11.4 million. And that's second most in college football last I checked. Well, that's just not adding up. And Dabo says, "Well, you're part of the problem." And the expectation is greater than the appreciation. He basically said, "We've won too much lately, and you're spoiled, and your expectations are unrealistic." And
exactly
he called him a smart ass kid. He said, "People like you" about 10 times.
Yeah.
And then he says he's never failed at anything ever.
He wanted to get married.
He got married.
That's what
he got married and had a kid. Those are two successes.
Oh.
So, and he said, "You don't ever have to call back. In fact, you don't have to be a fan of Clemson football. We don't need you."
We could lose a couple off the bandwagons. What he said. It was good. Hey, let me tell you, nothing better than an SEC call-in show. And let me spin this a different way. Did you guys see the one where somebody called in to Saban the other day and asked him? It was Pee Wee. Pee Wee called in and said, "Hey, so I just want to know whoever they were playing this week. They come off the edges. They do this. They run this, whatever." And Saban, this is great. He goes, "Well, Pee Wee, I've been waiting on you to call in all week to ask you what the hell are we going to do about it." I mean, You couldn't have spun it any better than Saban. I mean, it was a master. He was
Mm-hmm.
just like, you know what? I've been waiting on you to tell me how we could do this. And
I think he went on an analytics rant too there.
Yeah. It's a different, much different approach, man. Gosh, there's nothing better than an SEC call-in show.
It wouldn't be complete if he didn't bring the Lord into it. You're right.
And having spent time in Atlanta, being from other parts of the country, it is a different flavor that if you're not from there, you're like, what? Like,
have you?
Yeah, I mean, they marry religion into everything,
Yep.
and I got a lot to say about the Dabo Swinney thing. The caller calling in, I mean, they let that dude talk for 4 minutes. And I listen to ESPN Chicago almost every day. You got 20 seconds, dude. And then after 20 seconds, they're like, get to the damn point.
Yep.
And the fact that they let this guy rant, I thought he had 1 or 2 good points. But, I mean, he could have said everything he needed to say in 15 minutes without going on this side sojourn into you're a man of faith and the pride comes before the fall is dumb. And I felt like Dabo's response was 80% awesome, 20% stupid, where he's just like, you don't have to be a fan. Also, I've won 10 games, 12 straight years. That's why I'm paid what I'm paid. I've been in 4 national championships. That's why I've paid what I've. But then he says, but you're not going to talk to me like I'm 12. And it's like, well, when you're 4-4 and you make 11 million a year, I feel like somebody deserves to throw a tomato at you. Come on. It's a little bit frustrating. And even some of the things that he's said that have led up to people's frustration with, yeah, but if a couple plays went our way, we would be right there. And it's like, yeah, but they didn't. So I do get the fan frustration. But then, like Coach said, when you're talking about the South, anytime you get the chance to talk, you got to weave in, Proverbs too. And it's like, guy, come on, let's get real. That has nothing to do with this. The guy's won 2 national championships. He has one of the probably 3 best teams in all of college football. So cut him some slack, but also you can criticize him. It's a weird dichotomy. I just didn't know what to think after hearing that 7-minute thing. I also do think Dabo went a little bit too hard at the guy, and he took it to a personal level, which is wildly entertaining, almost Mike Gundy-esque. Whereas I don't give a rat's ass about Twitter, or come after me, I'm 40.
That was good.
Those are all time.
That was one of the greats. Have you heard the Colin Cowherd call in where the Alabama fan calls in and keeps calling him cow turd?
I haven't. He stopped taking callers years ago.
Do yourself a favor and look up Colin Cowturd and listen to the phone call that he took with somebody that was somebody's grandma that was an Alabama fan, or somebody impersonating somebody's grandma. It was so good. It was, I mean, like a little bit of pee came out when I was listening to it. It was hilarious. It was so good. She just kept calling him cow turd. Listen here, cow turd. Let me tell you what and then she ended the call with my favorite, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Hey, it's on his promo.
Yeah,
it's on his promo. When his radio show starts, it's on his promo. Hey, cow turd.
So good. Oh, it was that might have been the best of all time. We have, I will tell you guys, we are blessed here in Oklahoma City because there's some radio cats here that are really good, that they get after it, and people, I mean, they really chop it up. They take calls every day. And you're right, John, you got 20 seconds is a gross overstatement of how much time you better get to the point or they'll hang up on you and go to the next call. I mean,
I've been the guy who called in, and it was like story time is during COVID where it's just like, tell us your greatest pranks. And let me tell you, I rehearsed that story 10 times before I got on there because I knew once you're on there, don't ramble. You got to get to the right point. Yeah. But every city does have that guy that somehow elevates himself to be like a weekly call-in guy.
Yep.
And the best one in Chicago is C Red Fred, who is the guy for the Chicago Bulls. And they start playing his intro music, and he's just like, "We're going to the playoffs." It's great. And it's probably the funniest part of their entire show is just this delusional fan. Which again, going back to the SEC, they have a billion of them. It's just a dime a dozen down there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't listen to Feinbaum. I think he's a smug bastard. But I wish there were another kind of radio show I could listen to in the SEC to get that fix.
Well, it's
that rabid
we're,
thing.
We're excited here because now that OU is going to the SEC, this is going to ratchet up the Sooner Nation to a level that they've never seen, because I honestly feel like that, number one, I don't know that they realize what they're getting into, and number two, I will just say this is going to be such good sports talk radio, because there's nothing better than a Monday morning sports talk radio after a Sooner loss, or even, I'll give you one better, a Dallas Cowboy loss. If they can both happen in 1 week, oh my man, it's so good. And you're right, the characters on, I can name them all. There's one here called Pistol Paul that used to call in, and they used to have, they all have these great things. And they used to have one guy named James the Marvel. He would call in, and I think there was something a little bit off with him or something.
Yeah.
And he would just break into he would be talking about sports, and he'd just break into the horse racing lines, and they would just go with him. And so then one day I tuned in, and they were talking about him, and they were talking about how they lost the Marvel, and the Marvel kind of passed on. So it's interesting how these guys get a persona of their own, but good stuff. Sports talk radio is amazing.
It's one of the most underrated cultures in all of sports. The regional sports talk radio. I don't want to hear, the national guys.
Right.
I love you get Waddle and Sylvie, and you got 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds, they're literally, what's your point? What are you talking? No, you're wrong. Get them off. It's great.
Yeah. There's a guy here in town named Al Eschbach, and he's been doing sports talk radio since I was old enough to listen to the radio. I mean, this guy, they call him the legend. His name's Al Eschbach. He's here in town, and he does an evening show, and he's from New York. He's from the East Coast. So he still has a New York accent. And his story
King of the midgets.
King of the midgets. He got kicked out of school.
World champion of free cell on Nokia.
That's what he calls himself. So he got kicked out of school back east, and the only school that would take him was OU. So he moved out here and transferred out here and went to college at OU. Now he teaches a journalism class at the university now. And he's
in the Hall of Fame, dude.
Oh, Hall of Fame. Sports talk radio.
He can pull shit back from the 20s right now. Every stat, every sport, it doesn't fucking matter.
They play a game called Stump the Chump, and he does Sooner trivia. It's pretty good. Anyhow, every night, we're pretty spoiled here.
And he knows every fucking song that's ever been written and the artist.
It's pretty good.
Enough of that. All right, let's get into
turds. Speaking of turds, Josh McDaniels, he's fired. Sure, he's a terrible football coach and grade A douchebag, but like it or not, he's on the books 4 years, whether he works there or not. And now they just settled with Gruden to pay out 60 of his remaining $80 million on his contract. So now you're paying Gruden.
They sent out a lot of
Daniels, and you got to pay the new guy.
I was talking to somebody about this today. Is there a better gig than a big time college or professional coach that just got canned? I mean, and we can go back to, you remember Orgeron with LSU?
Yeah.
They canned him and paid him a ton of money, and he came on the week that it happened and said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got a lot of money to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
you go fishing.
Yeah.
Basically, he said, if you're just going to fire me, fire me. I don't care at this point. I know what I'm going to get paid. It's fine. Yeah, we're all adults here.
I should have just kept Rich Bisaccia. He did a good job.
Yeah.
Well, they the Raiders are quite a bundle of greatness in themselves as far as an organization. They are a messed up situation. And I look at some of these places and I think, well, okay, so you go fishing and dipping your pole in the pond. What are you going to pull out next? Where are we going from here? Some of them make lateral moves. They go from mediocre to mediocre, and you're like, why did you do that? I don't know. What's the hottest name out there right now? Riley?
Harbaugh.
Yeah, you think Harbaugh can be lured from Michigan?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it depends on how much the NCAA has a hard on for him, because they seem to really want his head on a platter.
They got a
and he has no interest in being punished.
No. If they start bringing down heavy-handed sanctions, which I think is comical in itself, because the NCAA seems to be like the big bully on the block that is really the most nutless organization I believe right now that exists. I don't
the IRS.
I don't understand what they think that they're going to do. I don't understand what at this point the NCAA is. What are they controlling? Really? What are they in charge of?
Guy, was he even working for them, or was he like a super fan?
Well, and they cut him loose today. Did you see that? Did you see where Michigan went? They cut loose the director of scouting or something. I don't know. They cut loose somebody today. Some rum-dum that was third on down the list of some kind of grad assistant that got cut, and they pinned it all on him and said they've cut loose of them. So they washed their hands of it. And just, I don't know, man. It's
and we don't have to keep going into this because it's just going to get drawn. We could go on forever about this, but this seems like one of those situations where you say, I don't care as a fan. Figure it out amongst yourselves and tell us what the result is. I have no patience for knowing every minute detail of what did or didn't happen. It's not that entertaining to me. You might think it would be because it's espionage and it's intrigue, great. But to be honest, I don't watch college football, so I can know all of their dirty laundry. I just want to see Michigan play Florida State this year. I want to see Michigan play the elite. I don't want Coach Harbaugh to be erased from any game. We want to see the best play the best. And for the rest, just take his money away. I don't care. Whatever. Figure out some way that it doesn't affect the product on the field.
We've talked about how stupid that deal is anyway. It's so dumb, the whole scouting thing anyways. And unless there's something I just think it's crap to begin with, but
Hey, the state of Michigan's about to jump off because I hear Urban Meyer's going to head to Michigan State.
So they're gonna replace one pervert with another. Okay.
Listen, if I'm Michigan State, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you. It's
hard to get overshadowed by fucking.
It's a great move and it's a great hire because how much farther can you fall if you're Michigan State right now?
Yeah, you probably win some.
They haven't won since. It's been. Gosh, it's been a day or so since they've been really good. But it's been back when Cousins was there.
Back when Mel Tucker's first year after he left the Bears, went to Michigan State, had one good year, and they said, "Here's a whole shit ton of money." Yeah.
Hey,
they got a lot of issues that have nothing to do with what's on the field. That I think honestly they need to take that into consideration. Now, did Urban Meyer do anything really wrong? No. Not really.
Well, he's crooked as a player.
Morally.
But I hate to say it, I hate to bring it up, but they got a horrible reputation between Larry Nassar. Then they got another dude who's got sexual misconduct. You're going to bring in another dude with baggage.
Well, and
that becomes your brand at this point.
At this point, you just go, just win. We're gonna just win, baby, and we're gonna make Sparty great again.
That's right. Hey, Coach, Commish wants to hear you say, America's team, the Miami Dolphins.
I bet he wants to hear me say that. And I will tell him when he beats the Eagles, then we'll talk about it.
Back.
When he does something great to warrant that title, then I'll be in. But you got to win your division first.
Hey, listen, who is the receiver at Oklahoma that got arrested?
Jaleel. Yes. And again, that's another deal. Okay, so NIL deal,
Okay.
driving a car with an expired paper tag,
Perfect.
idiot, gets stopped, has unpaid traffic fines. They arrest him for the
Wow.
unpaid traffic fines. I mean,
Oh, that'll do it.
yeah, it will do it, but it's not like the travesty of justice where he was beating his girlfriend on the corner, you know.
Right.
That I don't know. It just seemed like that was a little far fetched. And I'll ask yourself this: you think he's going to miss the Bedlam game on Saturday? Nope.
No.
Nope.
Already bailed him out.
I mean, if anything, I would be on the horn with whoever's the NIL guy that gave him the. You telling me you can't give him another, another paper tag? Come on, it's Oklahoma.
Yeah,
get over to Red Bull Sports and Import.
I passed 3 cars on my way down here to the corner store to get a drink and have tags that are expired over a year. I mean, come on. It doesn't make it right. I'm just saying, that deal was a little bit blown up, and I'm not an OU fan, so don't come after me and say, I'm an OU homer, because could be farther from the truth. But I got more fanship for the Dolphins than I do the Sooners. So
yeah, we'll at least be rooting for the Dolphins this weekend.
Yeah, I do. I agree with him. I do think the Dolphins have a good shot of winning this week. I really like them this week.
Lay the money on the Dolphins in the under.
I like that. I like it. I like the fish in the under.
Sundays.
But I will tell you, I do not like them long term. We've painted a watercolor Rembrandt on this show many times. You are one nightclub issue away from the house of cards coming crumbling down, sir.
I don't know if that thing has snow tires either. I don't know if that team can play in December. We'll find out.
Yeah. Talking about Miami?
Yep.
Yeah. It's hard to be great in the month of January if you don't play good defense and run the ball.
Yeah.
Which they seem like they got a cat that can run a little bit.
Most
will say that. But
I really like that team. I really do, because I feel like they're exactly what the NFL wants out of its product.
Yep.
It's opportunistic. They go after free agents. Now, do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? No. But tell you what, that's exactly what we want from the NFL. I don't care if they win the Super Bowl. I want to see them in the playoffs.
Great storyline. Yeah.
I want to see whatever weird crap they're going to do in Germany. No doubt Tyreek Hill has a weird touchdown celebration plan.
Hey, what's the over and under on Tyreek coming home and not just having to live there in prison?
He doesn't fit in Germany. Are you kidding?
No, Germany, they'll have him on a short rope.
They love rules in Germany, so
do they?
No. Yes. I got to tell you, he's
done what he's supposed to do for the most part.
Man, he is good, dude. If Tyreek Hill is in it every week.
He has 1,000 yards already.
He set a goal he was a upstanding adult. He set a goal for himself, 2,000 yards receiving this year, and by God, he's getting there. So hats off to him.
Boy, he is good. He's on another
level. Tell you, Kansas City is missing him.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yes. And guess what? I've never seen
he does stretch the field.
He runs such clean routes now. He's fun to watch now. He was real sloppy a few years ago, so was Patrick Mahomes. So it worked. It was a lot of backyard football, and
I think part of that is
good right now.
I think part of that is time in the league, though, Chris. I mean, when you get there, you think, he was the fastest dude around, and he could rely on that speed a lot. Now, when you get there and you get with some quality coaching, and you realize, hey, not only can I be the fastest dude, but if I run the cleanest routes, I can be untouchable. And that's exactly what we've got right now.
Untouchable. He's going to get his.
It is impressive, because when you see him, and I'm sure all of you can attest to this and agree to this, there's something different. It's not just that he's fast; it's that he knows where to go, and that is good route running.
Yeah.
When you combine those two, there's nothing you can do. Especially with a coach who can scheme.
You can't double team him because they went out and got this guy Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's phenomenal too. So the weapons that they're using, and Tua looks good. Tua's playing mature right now.
Yeah.
All that being said, they went up to Buffalo and got
Well,
waxed, which
they
is
they
why I'm
did,
saying
and
they're not.
Philly, and
Yeah.
Philly.
So, but again,
Yeah, when they
I don't
face
care
good
if they
teams.
win or lose. I will watch them
They're fun to watch.
every time.
If they're on TV, that's probably the game I'm watching because it's just exciting,
Yeah.
and I'm betting it because it's fun.
Yep.
Exactly.
They're fun to live bet.
The Vikings
no,
are not going to be fun to watch. Well, Kirk tore his Achilles tendon, done for the season. I don't think people talk about how much that must hurt enough. That's got to be excruciating to have that giant tendon tear and snap back into your leg. Oh my God. Although Rogers stood right back up. Maybe he
I'm
was on
kind
the
of under the
ayahuasca.
suspicion that he didn't tear it because,
Ah,
and I'm no medical expert, but I mean, this is the number one injury of any guy in his 30s that plays rec league basketball. And let me tell you, even if you are a superhuman, you're not coming back in 5 months like they're talking about. So the math
oh,
doesn't quite add up. I'm sorry, you are not standing and throwing a football the way he is if you had a full tear on that thing. So part of me logically says, maybe it wasn't a full tear. Maybe it was he had some sort of issue or he had some sort of anomaly where there's just no way. As a was he 38? I'm sorry.
yeah.
I cry
You
conspiracy.
remember how we were all just like, holy fuck, when Adrian Peterson came back? And that dude is like mechanical. He was built different than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, that's not Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, you might be right. Same with Kirk.
But what was refresh my memory on AP? What was his deal? And he came back because
He tore
I
his
don't know.
ACL, and then came back and ran for 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
Okay,
Crazy.
I
That's
guess
pretty great.
it doesn't add up to me. It does seem superhuman what Aaron Rodgers has done because it seems like not too long ago we were saying, "Oh, what a travesty that just happened," and now he's throwing. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of
What kind of
voodoo magic
mushrooms
did
are
you?
you taking?
Yeah. He bring his witch girlfriend out of retirement and cast a spell
Yeah.
or what? Because that
Blue of
doesn't
Earth.
add up. Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
her? She was
What?
wild.
She's definitely running a cult somewhere right now.
I was
They're drinking Kool-Aid.
where are they now? Blue of Earth.
Maybe I'll Google it. Let me Google
She's
that.
running. She's
Man,
selling
those were
shop
fun
robes.
times. I remember that relationship. That was fun.
She's teaching yoga at some.
We got a lot of good content.
She's
off that
teaching the hot
relationship.
yoga right now. I bet.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a hot yoga fan for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they say this increases the chances Kirk stays in Minnesota because he'll just sign there for cheaper. I don't know. He's got no contract for next year, so this isn't ideal. Although all of his money's been guaranteed, and he seems like a guy who doesn't spend a whole lot, so I think he'll be okay.
Well, in
He's
case
got
you
his
guys were
wife picking
wondering,
up clothes from
she's
Walmart.
preaching alchemizing the emotion of grief, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words that just ought not belong together in a sentence. So that tells me it's all bullshit, and she's just a snake oil salesman.
Yeah, she's
That's your Blue of Earth update. Check back in next year.
Dr. Voodoo Priestess. Here's a Favre update. Federal judge on Monday dismissed his defamation lawsuit against Shannon Sharp, ruling that Sharp used constitutionally protected speech on a sports broadcast when he criticized Favre's connection to the welfare misspending. We'll call it misspending. It was rhetorical hyperbole when he said that Favre was taking from the underserved and that he, quote, stole money from people that really needed that money. That someone would have to be a sorry person to steal from those people. I find those all to be factual. So Shannon
Good for
Sharp,
the
cleared of
American
all
justice
wrongdoing in the
system.
defamation case. Yeah, the system worked.
A rare win.
Yep. This system does not work. A man identifying as a female knocked out a girl's teeth in a lacrosse match in Massachusetts this week. Enough is enough with this. The old Swampscott versus Dighton Rehoboth game, home of the Big Blue. Everybody knows that. Yeah, so you can hear this girl screaming as she's laying on the ground after getting, I don't know, forearm shiver from someone who's formerly a dude. There was a jujitsu tournament last week too, where so many women dropped out of a certain class that it was just dudes with long hair fighting other dudes with long hair in a women's jiu-jitsu contest
Stupid.
tournament. And I think that's what you have to do. Just don't compete. Just boycott it. Make them expose this thing for the joke it is. Just have dudes
It's,
competing against dudes. We'll do that a few times and then they'll scrap it.
I
Hopefully.
continue to say it's going to ruin women's sports.
Yeah. They're
I-
erasing girls.
It's one of those. I listen to a lot of podcasts and recently listened to one where this was a hot topic, and I'll be honest, I'm just not on board with the boundaries that some of the liberal left wants to put on this. I won't agree with it. And I just had to take anti-discriminatory training today for my job, and you see that peppered in, and it does seem like this is a box people are checking to not get fired and to not ruffle any feathers, and I can see why an administration at a high school is just like, this is not the fight I want to, not the hill I want to die on, and it's unfortunate because we see cases like this frequently enough at this point. And these aren't anomalies. This isn't your sixth grade girl that wants to run with the boys. It's different, and that's what's really sad is stuff like this is getting bastardized, and it's just not true sport. And
Ross is a rough sport. You can't have dudes out there playing with girls that look. It's like hockey.
we get a lot of things that are labeled hate speech that aren't hate speech, things that are labeled discriminatory that are just seem to be logical at this point. And yeah, and this is coming from a guy who played football at a low level in grade school with a girl on his team. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If she wants to play, she can play. But I think we've gotten to a point where this is really just odd. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep. Is safety misogynistic? More at 10. They found that SBF kid guilty. The crypto bro stole all the money. The number 2 donation. The
Just
number
10
2
billion?
donor to the Democratic Party. He got. I thought he was going to skate on all this. He's facing like 100 years. I won't be convinced until I see a judge actually sentence him. But the most interesting thing was the court sketch. Whoever the artist is in love with this guy. They drew him to look like Captain America. It's wild.
In one
He's like
sketch, I
70
saw
pounds
another
off.
one where he looked like a under the bridge troll. So maybe they get different ones each day because some of them were not, painting his features in a great light, and some were.
Yeah, one I saw, they gave him like a chiseled jaw. And
Sounds to me like a pardon on the way out of somebody's door.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I had this
isn't
thought
good.
in Coach and Chris, maybe you'll want to chime in too, but I couldn't decide whether this dude was gonna die in prison or avoid prison, because when you steal from that many rich people, that doesn't, you're not going to be unscathed, or maybe he's protected. I don't know. I couldn't decide which one, but guys
Yeah.
like this usually they either skirt or they get nailed to the cross.
It all depends on what he knows.
He gave a bunch of the money to even more powerful, even richer people, though. That might save.
Yeah, that's where the debate in my head was going, was is he protected or is he enemy number one?
We'll find out. That money was well spent.
And also,
The
where's
Bears.
the one more thing on that? Where is the Tom Brady in all of this? Is he not going to face any criminal charges? Because he was hawking that like he couldn't believe.
Tommy Terrific on trial.
Yeah, because that courtroom sketch is going to be very favorable, as it has been in the past.
Yep.
Is there another guy that has sold his soul to everything? I mean, he's just come out on the right side of everything in the world.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a butter side up guy. He drops his toast, that thing lands butter side up. every single time. The Bears traded a second-round pick for Montez Sweat after Chase Young went to San Francisco for a third-round pick. So Chicago front office showing their business savvy once again,
Hear me out.
unless they think Montez Sweat is better.
Hear me out. Chase Young is going to be wildly expensive, and he's been hurt. So the price for him was lower, being that he's going to be a rental for the 49ers, and they have no anticipation of signing him long term. Montez Sweat, however, high-level guy, really good on pass rush and also run defense. And we are planning on signing him long term. And the assumption is that bringing him on and trading that second round pick was they're more or less in the same ballpark when it comes to negotiating his long term deal. And that was something the Bears wanted to do. Because, yes, when you read the black and white and at its face, it looks like a mismatch trade, right? But when you get into the details of it, it might not be, because Chase Young has had a lot of injury issues. He hasn't played in a ton of games, but he might be just the guy the Niners need to get him over the hump. But he's not staying there long term, from what I hear.
Yeah.
He's your closer. He's your Aroldis Chapman at the deadline. We don't want him here a long time, but he can get us to a World Series.
Yep. Hey, sometimes you need that guy to put you over the top. The Eagles picked up Kevin Byard from Tennessee. Couple day 3 picks, and Terrell Edmonds they sent, who they were going to cut Terrell Edmonds anyway. They also signed Julio Jones, who already scored a touchdown. That's pretty crazy. Philadelphia is going to be good. I think that's your NFC team. I don't know if San Francisco can beat them this time.
Well, I mean, Philadelphia's got them a game this week. We're finally going to get to see Dallas, and going to go ahead and write them off of the playoff picture this week. So that should be pretty good. All of you guys that are huge Dallas fans that get on here and bang the drum, you might as well go ahead and get excited this week for one last time. And we'll see what happens on Sunday, because if they don't win on Sunday, their season's done.
Yeah, this is
probably
a good week. Seems like the bad teams are playing the bad teams, and the good teams are playing the good teams.
Yeah.
So a bunch of gross games and some really good ones.
So I'm going to turn around on you, Eric, and I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think of the Niners now? What have they lost? At least 2, maybe 3, if I'm trying to remember correctly. 3 straight, 2 straight. What's going on?
3 in a row now. I don't know. I don't know about people are starting to worry about Brock Purdy. They got the Eagles gearing up. Christian McCaffrey. Is he going to be durable enough? They're one Christian McCaffrey injury from screwed at all times.
Here's the red flag, and I'll put it back to you guys. But I saw Christian McCaffrey had the rib injury, and he played every single offensive down the following week. That's not smart. I'm sorry, Kyle Shanahan. That's not smart.
We continue to say this here. I mean, you're just running people in the red. I mean, it's just not a good thing. I'm not convinced that the 49ers are world beaters, because honestly, the litmus test for me is, can you go into Philadelphia and win? And I don't think they can. I don't think there's many teams in the NFC that go into Philadelphia and win that game in a championship setting. I just don't see that many. The 49ers are made up to be able to do that, but it's like you said, can they get there intact? Can they get there healthy?
They just got to get to the playoffs. Why are they running them like it's fucking the Super Bowl every goddamn game? They're up fucking 20 points. He's still fucking in there pounding the A-gap. Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I agree.
He's on pace to touch the ball like 400 times.
Let
that guy get tackled 400 times.
That feels like the players' union should step in and say, whoa here.
What are we doing?
Well, and I don't understand why somebody in the room every week is not going, hey, let's put this guy on a pitch count. I mean, let's go ahead and save our bell cow for down the stretch here. We've got to make it down the stretch to be able to get there, because if they wad him up in the month of November, their season is done also.
Yep. Buddy, it's 27-10. Let's give him a break.
They're already fighting injuries in the receivers. I mean,
and on their O-line, Trent Williams, who's the best offensive lineman in
boy, he's been
the
around a
league.
minute.
But let's let's look at their schedule. Maybe there's a break that they see that we don't. I mean, whenever I see this, sometimes I look at the schedule and I go, okay, so you're trying to get a couple of wins to pad the stats here, and then we're gonna go, we can run out our scrubs and see, okay, so not really. They go Jaguars, Bucks, Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks again, and then Cardinals and Ravens. No, I mean, it doesn't soften up down the stretch.
Fight. They're in a fight every week.
Yeah.
Where's that Eagles game?
Well, that's what we're saying. That's at Philly, right?
Eagles game is in 3 weeks. 1,
Philadelphia?
2, 3. Hold on. At Philadelphia. Yeah. You go to Philadelphia on December the 3rd.
Gosh darn. Philadelphia has been proving ground for a lot of teams now. This is probably the third time we've said the game of the week is against Philly at Philly.
Well, and good for Philly for, I mean, that street runs both ways. Philly's in a fight every week too. It's not like they got a pillow fight coming this week, although I think they win by 10, but
yeah, I just, as smart as the Niners seem to be, both from the GM down to the head coach, what was their Achilles heel last year? Injuries. And then you're running guys ragged this year. You already have injuries with Debo and Debo, Trent Williams, everybody we've explained. Now they bolstered their defensive line, but I mean, if you got to have those guys healthy, or else you're going to be in the NFC Championship game, and it's going to be lopsided because you're playing on a fourth-string quarterback, or you don't have Christian McCaffrey, or Debo, or Trent Williams, or somebody on your defense, or something like that. It just seems a little bit foolish to me.
Because you had to run them out there in the fourth quarter against the Arizona Cardinals. Now you don't have
by 48.
And to be honest, I mean, they've got 4 games against the Cardinals and the Rams that honestly they shouldn't need them for the entire game.
Yeah, let's just sit.
Oh, and you should be good enough to start your number 2, honestly.
Yeah.
In those games, especially against the Cardinals. You ought to be able to trot out,
you got
Billy
an all-star team.
Only had 1 hit. Yeah.
We got a Germany game this week. Premier matchup this time. Easily the best game we've ever sent over to Europe. The Chiefs and the Dolphins will kick it off in Germany on Sunday morning, the same ungodly hour that those Jaguars games start. 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Midweek and rake. We're going to have to be watching football and talking football.
This is going to be awesome. I love this. Yeah. Now, I get a lot of people hate that you wake up and have to watch, but honestly,
that's a marquee game.
I love it because I will say, and we've said it before, I'll say it again, the Europeans know how to watch a sporting match much better than the Americans. They're singing Sweet Caroline. They're drinking 2-gallon beers. I mean, they just love being there. And the fact that they're going to watch the best players and the best teams is awesome. And I feel like that's going to be rocking. It's going to be awesome. And I just can't wait to see that, to be honest, because if this were in Kansas City, it'd be cool. If this were in Miami, it'd be a lot less cool because Miami doesn't give a shit about sports. But the fact that it's in Germany, I think Munich, I mean, everybody there is so pumped to be there. And it's going to be, you're going to see an awesome performance. Now, I bet the under because they're going to have a little bit of jet lag, but I still think it's going to be an amazing game.
They're going to have those big 4-foot-tall beers.
The boots, Das Boot.
Yeah, a giant beer shaped like a boot.
The Europeans have cheering for sport down. They've been doing it a lot longer than we have, and they figured out how to make the most fun out of viewing any sort of game or match.
Yep. They were subjected to a horrific sight the other night The Nottingham Panthers player Adam Johnson was pronounced dead in a hospital after sustaining a cut to his neck from a skate worn by Sheffield Steelers player Matt Petgrave on Saturday evening. Inquiries into the death continue. They're not sure. I guess people are raising questions about whether or not this was on purpose. South Yorkshire police said officers have been studying footage of the incident and added the investigation is likely to take some time. A spokesman for the EIHL, when announcing it, strongly encouraged players and officials to wear neck guards. They want some kind of Kevlar collar, neck guard type situation.
I
Now,
don't. This
I haven't
is
seen it, but I heard it's absolutely horrific.
this is ridiculous. Like this is it's a terrible thing. This is a
Oh,
terrible thing for sports. I mean, it's a terrible thing all the way across the board. And when I first saw it, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, if it's a freak accident, it's a horrific freak accident. I just don't. I don't know. It's bad. It's really bad.
yeah.
And I love hockey.
Guess
It's just
they're
bad.
going to look into it.
Yeah,
I guess a lot of youth levels wear neck guards. They're trying to bring it into the minor leagues and then eventually the NHL. But I don't think you're going to get the guys currently playing in the NHL to start wearing neck guards.
I don't think anybody should be wearing a neck guard. You're talking 1 in a billion chance. It seems dull the skate. I don't know. Do something else. But you don't need to.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't need to be
Dull
a
the
knight in
skate.
shining armor. Going out and playing. I mean, just play. It's too much. It's overcorrecting.
But I mean, John brings up a good point here, though. Could we not see this happen in any sport? Could we not? Could we not see the 1 in a million shot in football any Saturday or Sunday? I mean,
we almost did last year.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where you just look at and you go, this is a tragedy and it's horrible. But on the same token, I mean, you can go outside in your front yard and get struck by lightning too. I mean, it can happen. It's a real possibility. Doesn't mean we don't need to go outside. Just I agree. There's got to be some other precautions than
every once in a while something happens that reminds us why they made us fucking take waiver forms home. This is why. Because it could happen in theory.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is in that same mathematical range with getting hit by lightning.
Yeah.
Probably way. Well, a lot more people get hit by lightning than get their throat cut by skates on a hockey rink. So
yeah.
I feel bad for the people who were there. They were just trying to watch a fucking hockey game.
It was horrific. I watched it. The video.
There's a video out on the internet of a naked guy stealing a cop car from a Las Vegas police officer. That is absolutely hilarious. He wrestled him to the ground and
that's not that weird, actually.
I'm always reminded of Rob Riggle and the big chick that's the cops from
pow!
We're pow pow, and he's like every effing time they come out to Vegas, woo, let's go steal a cop car. That just reminds me of that scene every time I hear about that. That's funny.
That's an all-time scene.
Yeah,
you got to shoot him twice.
Yeah,
we got a big guy.
Yeah.
Rob Riggle is the guy you bring in when you say, well, you know what, this thing's a 9, but we want this movie to be a 10. Yeah. So let's bring in Rob Riggle and tell him just riff.
Yeah. Let's give him about 20 minutes tops and let him just cook.
Just go for it, Rob. There's the naked guy stealing the police SUV video. There's a video of a bear coming up to a bowl of trick-or-treat candy and taking only one piece, which an actual animal better than humans, because I also saw a video where a mom just instructs her kids to empty the bowl. Let's take and those are like full-size bars.
I saw that.
Take the entire bowl of full-size bars. I mean, you're basically a serial killer.
Yeah.
I might support the death penalty for what those people did.
One thing before we get out of here, I just want to say one thing I wanted to touch on. I know, John, you watch a lot of NBA. One thing that I think that's cool that the NBA has done is they're trying something new, which is something that I think is pretty neat. The whole trophy thing, the whole tournament in the middle of the
NBA
year.
Cup.
And not only that, they've taken it to a new level with the whole cup thing, because not only they have the city uniforms, which I think are cool. Everybody likes the change of pace, but they have the courts, the city courts that are different, the city courts and the cup courts on every. And I think those are awesome. I mean, I just think good for the NBA to try to keep things fresh and people interested. I think that's neat.
Will this motivate players to try in the middle of the season?
Well, that I don't know. That remains to be seen.
That's tough to tell. I mean, part of it is it could become a little bit of a bragging rights thing. Who knows? It depends on how the players take it. There is $500,000 if you win. Now, to an NBA player where no namers are getting $100 million contracts, I don't know, maybe. But I do think there is something to be said where it's not just game 1 of 82, game 2 of 82, whatever. There is something that, the crowd might be interested in. It does spice it up a little bit, changes the pace. You got different jerseys. Yeah, setting the scene a little bit differently. It should be good. At the end of the day, the purpose is to, why would you ever watch the NBA before February?
Yeah,
this is
all
the reason
people
why.
talk about is all that matters is the playoffs. Who cares what you do in the regular season? So we can't really be surprised when they act as if no one cares about the regular season, when all fans talk about is how they don't care about it.
Yeah, so it gives fans a reason to come and cheer, and it might give the players a reason to play. But I think what this year boils down to, and I've said it in the group chat, is everybody's watching Wembanyama, and he's going to be a stud. He just dropped 38 last night in a win against Phoenix.
He was really good.
And honestly, Oklahoma City is going to be a good squad. Everybody's pretty tired of the LeBron James, the James Hardens, the name a player that's kind of a douchebag. They're kind of sick of these guys that were the whole banana boat gang back in 2005. But the interesting thing about the NBA is the top 5 players are probably foreign at this point.
Yeah.
You got Giannis, you got Luka, you got Wembanyama, you got a lot of guys.
Jokic,
yep, the Joker,
and all of them are guys that are humble, not annoying, and just go in and work every night. So the NBA could be changing face a little bit away from the Heatles, and it's LeBron versus Steph Curry 7 years in a row and all that, because you're starting to see the talent flatten out. Case in point, Coach, Oklahoma City, they're going to have a good squad this year, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Milwaukee.
There's still a little bit. There's still a couple pieces away, and I think that they're going to be decent, but they're not quite ready to make a run yet. And I don't know if you've seen their draft picks, but good night. I mean, they have lined up a whole slew of them, and I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them pull the trigger in some free agency stuff, and I think that, like I said, I think they're a year away. I think next year is really the year to the flagship year for them, but they've got a lot of good young guys, a good young talent, and quite honestly, they've got more good young talent than they can implement in their system, which is something that everybody wants, and they're going to be able to spin some of that off and acquire some pieces that they're going to need down the road in the form of depth and role players. I mean, Sam Presti is the architect of building a franchise, and I don't say a team, I say building a franchise, because he's done a great job. And Oklahoma City as a whole has been spoiled. I don't make this get into a tangent, but they were spoiled because they never knew what they even had. They never even knew that they, that first year they had Durant, Harden, Westbrook, and they went to the finals, and everybody around here just thought that's what it is. I heard it on Sports Talk Radio this week, likened to Dan Marino and his first year and how he went to the Super Bowl, and I thought that was the way it was going to be every year. And quite honestly, that's the way people here thought. They got swept up in it so fast, so quick, in that first year. And since then, it's been a learning experience to figure out that is not the way it is. So, and I mean, I'm excited to see him get back.
Yeah. I would say, continuing in the NBA talk, there's a lot of good teams out there. I wouldn't waste your time watching the Lakers, but I mean, even in the West, looking at the Kings, looking at the Spurs, looking at Mavericks. Phoenix is interesting. Oklahoma City. There's some good teams to watch. If you got a Tuesday, Wednesday night that you're not watching something else, it's worth popping in and checking because.
Well, and Oklahoma City is a fun team to watch. They really are.
These teams on the upslope without a top prima donna, and those are the teams you want to watch.
It's worth it just to watch, just to see Wembanyama stand next to people. Stand next to Kevin Durant and make him look like a normal sized person. Hang on.
For me,
how big Kevin Durant is.
Living in Denver, let me tell you what, it was very nice to watch the opening game of the entire season. The Nuggets against the Lakers. Some dude, not even affiliated with the Nuggets, really, was talking a lot of shit during the parade. And then, the Lakers are all, well, they might have swept us, but we're going to come back for them. And then they just get waxed because the Lakers are the Lakers. They have a huge pussy at center, and they have a big douche in LeBron James. They're nothing. And everybody's sick of it. And, the Nuggets just know how to win. And I love watching them kick them in the dirt and say, no, you're still not nearly as good as us. Just because you have LeBron James doesn't mean anything because the dude's like 40. And your center is a piece of glass.
Magic Johnson ain't walking.
So quit asking.
All right.
I love this Denver team. I'll just say that. I do love the Denver team. Their coach is awesome. Their squad's good. And they're looking to repeat. So they're another team to tune into.
They are going places. We are too. I'm going to bed. An hour and a half almost. Not bad, boys. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate all the downloads, reviews, all that stuff. Go over to PatriotSportsNow.com. Find all of our latest goings on. Find us on Wake and Rake on the Fantasy Sports Corporation TV channel, YouTube channel. It's on YouTube. It's on Rumble. It's on Facebook. It's on Twitter. Just find Fantasy Sports Corporation. Subscribe to that, and you will be good to go. Answer all the fantasy football wagering questions and otherwise.
Yeah, because what else are you going to be doing Sunday morning? What are you going to be watching? Great Outdoors? You going to watch the outdoors? No, tune into NFL football.
Yeah, we're going to have football on one TV, us on the other TV. It's going to be beautiful. We will see you there. Till next time, be good to each other. Chris kicked the outro music.
You've been listening to Patriot Sports Radio. If you're sick of all the national talking heads and biases of mainstream sports media, like we are, this show is for you. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. For more content and merch, hit up www.patriotsportsnow.com. Find us on Twitter at PatriotsPod, on Instagram and Facebook at Patriot Sports Now, and on Getter, Rumble, and YouTube at Patriot Sports. Take care, and we'll see you next time.